to get into the John Hinckley thing, but I just think it's very funny because so you know John Hinckley, right?
Can't say I do.
Okay, well he's the guy that shot Reagan.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so he did his time, right? So he's out and about, and so he's on Twitter because of course he is, and he's a musician also. And so there are a bunch of artists that want to work with him. And apparently one of our favorite bands, Elway, covered one of his songs.
Terrific.
And it was brought to his attention, and he said that he really enjoyed the cover. And so now all these punk bands are reaching out to him, and the label is reaching out to him and be like, hey, yeah, we will give you like free studio time if you want to record something.
I mean, this guy sounds cooler than John Elway, because when John Elway became aware of that band, he like tried to sue them, didn't he? So
yes, he did.
This guy sounds all right.
Yeah. So I just put that in there, but I guess I included it anyway. Hey, what's up? It's the DeadEndRoad Show, episode 39. It's Bill and Ian. We are just trudging along on the front lines of the battle against NFTs because more and more shit keeps happening. They're really trying to force it. They're really trying to make it happen. And it's getting stupider and stupider. The bottom of the barrel is just like being scraped with like a rusty spoon at this point. And it's getting sad and desperate. And
yeah, I even had one to contribute to the list this week, and I thought you would have picked up on this one.
I didn't, no. And then I added something just a few minutes before we started recording. So it's getting like, just like, I don't know, like we're reaching like a singularity point with it, I think, where maybe we're reaching that bubble bursting point, because we talked about, we had a no fucking thanks last week in the midst of a huge crypto crash, right? So, for example, Bitcoin was at its all-time high of over $60,000 per coin, and it's crashed to about half of that. And so whenever Bitcoin goes, the rest of them follow. So everything fell pretty dramatically, just like Bitcoin did. Meanwhile, you have like all of these NFT scams that are still trying to make their shit happen, seemingly while the getting's good. And it's almost like, you know, ignore the man behind the curtain. Ignore that the cryptocurrencies behind these fucking JPEGs and, you know, voice AI scams are, you know, falling hard because either people are getting wise or the people that made their money are abandoning ship while they made bank. So it feels like we're reaching maybe a tipping point. I don't know, but we're here and we got some more shit to talk about. So this is no fucking thanks. Fantastic. And before we get started, because we did do a bit of a primer on NFTs last week, and also last week there's a YouTube channel called Folding Ideas that released a video sort of explaining the absolute bullshit and sort of a basic history and the conception of NFTs, and of course you can't talk about NFTs without talking about cryptocurrency. And that video is called Line Goes Up, The Problem with NFTs. And I recommend people watch it. It's pretty long. It's like 2.5 hours. But I did watch it in one sitting because I was doing other shit at the time. But I think it's really informative. I think it's really well made. And a lot of people have been sharing it around, but I also thought it would be prudent to bring it up within the context of our discussions here. Even though that this dude has made some good videos, but he's got some weird takes too. But this was a good video. So anyway, let's get into our stupid bullshit. So there's gonna be a Kurt Cobain NFT. There are. This comes from Loudwire. Never before seen NFTs to be sold on Kurt Cobain's birthday. The phrasing of that is very funny to me because, well, of course there were never any previous Nirvana NFTs. So of course these have never been seen before. Of course, yeah. This is a new concept. This is some new bullshit. Of course these have not been seen before. So they say a fresh batch of Nirvana NFTs are set to be sold on February 20th, Kurt Cobain's birthday. These are never before seen images from a 1991 Nirvana concert. 6 days after they released Nevermind from a Philly stadium. And they range from $99, which is like, okay, all right, that's, whatever, that's like a collectible thing, even though it's a fucking NFT, to $250,000. $250,000. There are 4 one-of-a-kind NFTs that are made from 10 never-before-seen images, and the bidding for one of those starts at 67 Ethereum, which at the time of the writing of this was $2,500,000.
So are they just like pulling photos from like his estate or whatever that have just like been like private photos and they're releasing them as NFTs?
It says photographer Faith West took pictures of the band that night, which haven't ever been released. So I guess this is the photographer doing this. So the photographer is making cash off of this, is what I'm assuming. Because Kurt Cobain's daughter is, still alive, right? And what's his face? Dave Grohl, he trots out quote unquote Nirvana every once in a while whenever he like wants a paycheck. So it seems like this is just the photographer that took the photos. But
way to have the foresight to wait 3 decades until NFTs blow up and you can sell them this way.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm sure somebody would have paid for the like original prints or like the original roll of film, So why make it a fucking crypto bullshit at all?
Because would they have paid $250,000 for a print?
Maybe for the original roll,
But now you have the NFT that you're selling and you still have that original.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, you get to have your cake and eat it too. Yeah. Along with the GIF, buyers also received a framed print of one image signed by photographer Faith West. Who cares about their signature?
You're buying it because it's Kurt Cobain. That's like I don't even know. That's like getting a journalist's autograph for sometimes if they win like a Pulitzer, it is. I wasn't sure where I was going with that, but yeah, it doesn't. You're not there for the photographer. Like that's not the name that's bringing all the attention to this.
Right. Like I can understand appreciating the work of a photographer, but like whenever it's a photo set of a famous individual, you go up to a music artist with a photo of them to have it signed, right? You don't go find whoever had the who the photographer was.
It's like you show up to a book signing and instead of the author of the book, it's like the person who designed the cover that's signing autographs.
Yeah, it's strange. But maybe this is off topic though, but maybe that is kind of misplaced because it's like, well, of course the person who made the cover obviously worked on that and they're sort of disheveled, but like, or shoved to the side is what I wanted to say. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. It seems like they're maybe not stolen valor is the right word, but it's just like they're almost like pretending that they were like part of Nirvana or something. Like it's very strange.
They were at this, historical event, and
but so were like at least 1,000 other people.
But they photographed the band, so they're a little bit more relevant, I guess.
I don't know. It's weird. 10 images will also be auctioned off individually as NFTs in black and white and acid washed color versions. There's also the Nirvana Fan Club, which is made up of limited edition NFTs for fans. 100 lucky fans will have the ability to purchase limited edition NFTs. 10 artworks have been crafted from 3 images and will be sold for $499 each. There are also 100 copies of the still images that will still be available for $99. So you're just buying the JPEGs of these photos that have, quote, never been seen before until they're posted online because they're digital images.
I mean, my thing with this is like, it's hard to imagine that, if Kurt Cobain were around today, he would want to be involved with NFTs, So it's like a little, it's a little gross.
It's just icky. It's really icky. And also okay. So that proceeds from the NFTs will be divided between 2 nonprofits, with half going to the Trevor Project and part of the remainder going to Grid Alternatives. I don't know that one.
Okay, well, that makes it a lot better.
Okay. And of course, the Trevor Project is a nonprofit assisting LGBTQ plus youth to prevent suicides, and Grid Alternatives is brings solar power to working poor families, tackling both climate change and income inequality. Hold on, buddy. Hold on, though. But you're doing crypto shit.
Ooh.
You're doing crypto shit. You're wasting so much power. You're working with Ethereum, and then you're going to give some proceeds to a solar power charity. Just sell the prints and then give to the charities.
Yeah, that's definitely...
You don't have to do anything.
There's a contradiction
crypto
there, but I wonder if the person whose idea was to do this even knew about the whole environmental impact of NFTs, because that seems to be brushed over quite often, you know?
Yeah, but at the same time, it looks like they're like sort of they do know, and so they're going to be like, well, I'm going to offset.
Yeah. It's like
impact.
the trade-off. Yeah, it's like trying to counteract what the impact of it.
Yeah, this is even weirder than I thought it was going to be, and I already thought it was going to be pretty weird.
I mean, at least that's a positive aspect to it. At least, you know, that the money's going to those causes.
I guess, but just sell the prints. Sure. Just sell the prints.
Yeah.
Oof. All right, that's Kurt Cobain NFT. People might have seen this. This was circulating. So Paris Hilton was on Jimmy Fallon for the purpose of showing off a bored ape, I guess, because she doesn't have anything else going on, because she's been off TV for a while, and I don't know what else she does. So have you seen this? Okay. Let me do the screen share, because I think you do need the visual aspect a little bit.
Yeah, I jumped in.
I know, I heard. I'm so happy I taught you what they were.
You did. You taught me what's up, and then I bought an ape.
I got an ape too, because I saw you on the show with Beeple, and you said you got a MoonPay, so I went and I copied you and did the same thing.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
This is your ape. Are we debuting it?
It's really cool. Like the hat, the shades.
Now, how did you pick? Because you can pick your ape.
Yes, I was going through a lot of them, and I was like, I want something that like kind of reminds me of me, but this one, it does. I think we made like another version of it where he takes the hat off and blonde hair comes out.
Yeah, because you can do it now whatever you want.
Mm-hmm, animated version.
We're part of the same. We're part of the same community. We're both apes.
I love it.
This is my ape.
It's yours. Yours is so cool. I love the red heart sunglasses. I love the captain hat.
It reminded me of me a little bit because I wear striped shirts. Mm-hmm. I've worn these heart sunglasses because my daughters, just as a joke, they have them, and as a joke, I put them on. So I've done this. And I love yacht rock and being breezy. So I'm like, yeah, that kind of, and I like the blue. Mm-hmm. Dude, look at us.
They look like they could be friends.
They're buddies.
That was tough. That was, man. It's like there's somebody just out of screen holding them at gunpoint.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but I checked the time when we were halfway through that, because even though that was only a minute, I was like, oh my God. It felt like my soul was being like ripped apart. Like, it's so forced. Mm-hmm. It's so forced and stiff and unnatural, and oh my God, you can tell that they're both really into the apes, and they both picked apes that are really, really true to who they are, because they both definitely wear hats.
Yeah, that's the difference. Because this is an audio podcast, like the difference in the two apes is essentially that they're wearing different hats. That's really all it is.
Yes, it's the same fucking image. It's the same fucking picture. And yeah, they're both so into these apes. They really are. Paris Hilton convinced Jimmy Fallon to buy an ape.
Yeah, I'll tell you, when you put this on a late night show and you try to make NFTs like this tangible thing and like trot it out like you're promoting something that's real, it just shows how far gone, everybody is with this.
And I swear to God, I've seen the ape that Jimmy Fallon has, like that exact one, like on somebody else. Like, who's to say it's not a different one? Who the fuck knows? Who the fuck knows? He could have printed out any of the apes and said it was his, because it's just a fucking picture.
Yeah. No, those are printouts of the NFTs, right? Yeah.
Yes. It's like, yeah, you could do whatever you want with it. Like, print it out and put it in a frame and show it off on a late night.
Because they weren't going to pull out a computer, like a laptop, and like and like, show you the NFT on a computer screen. So they had to print it out.
It's in a picture frame. Like, so you're going to put that on your mantle next to your children? Like, what do you do with it? You don't do anything with it. And he's like, yeah, we're in the same community. Okay. So now what? So now what do you do? It's like, oh yeah, you have an ape. Oh, I have an ape.
They join the Discord and they hang out.
Yeah. You can have Jimmy Fallon and Paris Hilton in the Discord. Yeah. Like what? You could hear the moment where the audience doesn't know how to react, and then they clearly hit the applause sign, and then they have to clap for it.
Yeah, that's the default.
Like there is an uncomfortable.
The default reaction
uncomfortable
is just
silence.
Laughter.
Right, and then whenever Paris Hilton says that she says that she got one that looks like her. And then there's like a slight chuckle, but there was not the laughter sign, so there's only like a few people. Like that was not supposed to be funny,
no.
But it is because it's an ape wearing a leather biker hat. Like why would that look like her? Like what is any of this? I don't.
Yeah, it really is wild. Like it's one thing to see like celebrities tweet about it or have like some promotional thing online, but then you bring it out into the real world and it's just it's so cringy.
Yeah. Like you go on late night to shill your movie, your TV show, your book, whatever. But now you're going on to hawk your monkey crypto scam that you bought into and to I don't know, she talked about Moonbase or some shit. I don't know what that is. It's probably an exchange or a coin or whatever.
So you mentioned that when Bitcoin dips in value, all the other cryptocurrencies sort of follow suit. So like, what's the point of having all these different types of crypto if they're essentially just tied to Bitcoin anyway? Like they're not tied they're just tied based on like, I guess like speculation or how. Yeah. So like, what's the point of having all the different types?
Okay. So not all of them are tied. Some of them are literal clones of Bitcoin. So they run on the exact same technology. Some of them are literal, they call them forks of Bitcoin, which happens whenever there is a schism in the network where the computer systems, the ledgers that keep the transactions come to a disagreement. And so that forks the network. And so you have to splinter and create a separate coin, basically. Or there's disagreements in how the coin is running. So there are coins like Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV something. So there are other ones that are forks of Bitcoin. There are other coins that are just clones of Bitcoin that want to do what Bitcoin is doing. Exactly. So like there's Litecoin. There's like Vertcoin. So those ones are direct clones of Bitcoin that operate the exact same way.
Every time we have this segment, like every single week, I just feel better about my decision to watch from a safe distance all that's everything that's happening.
No, 1,000%, 1,000%. Then like on the Ethereum side, there are just Ethereum's goal is to be like a protocol where different coins can just operate on the Ethereum network. So there are just a ton of different currencies that operate using the Ethereum technology. There's a million of them, and you could just basically like create a coin, say it's on the Ethereum blockchain, and like that's a lot of the pump and dumps because that takes less setup because you can just put it on Ethereum. So there are, the market is tied to both how Bitcoin does, and then there are coins that are also tied to the functionality of the currencies themselves. Right. But yeah, since Bitcoin is the big player and it is the one that is worth the most, like per coin, right? Because like one coin is now currently worth like $30,000 each. Like no coin is valued at that, price per coin. They all follow, and since it's the most well-known one, it's the one that gets the most, social awareness, everything else. So if it dips, everything dips. If it goes up, most of them go up, not all of them. That's usually the trends. Usually.
Okay.
For why, like, because some of them, like the people wait for like what they call whales to like pump up a specific coin, and then they cash out, and then it dips again, and sometimes that happens within smaller coin communities, and so people try to get like Elon to notice their coin and talk about it for a second, and then it'll jump up like crazy. All kinds of, it's basically all manipulation, really, to see if their one coin will go to the moon, and so they could cash out, basically.
It's like a one-time deal to make a bunch of money and then just be done with it.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So we have Ozzy Osbourne getting into the mix of NFTs. I really am surprised this one slipped by you.
It did. I didn't see this.
There was a launch of Crypto Bats, which is a series of 9,666. You see what they did there? Digital bats.
Yeah.
Made as, NFTs. And this is an official project of Ozzy Osbourne.
Okay.
Unfortunately, this took a bit of a turn because, according to this article on The Verge, 2 days after the tokens were minted, supporters started being targeted by a phishing scam that drained their wallets, their cryptocurrency wallets. So what happened was... CryptoBats operates using Discord, right, for its community. Mm-hmm. And so the CryptoBats Discord, it's the official one is discord.gg/CryptoBats. But previously, the project started out with the URL discord.gg/CryptoBats NFT. So a slightly different URL. So when they switched the URL, they did not delete their old tweets, like linking to that no longer... the no longer in use URL. And so a scamming group was able to sweep up that URL and send out fake links and phishing scams. And a bunch of people fell for it because they were following the link that was still on the official Ozzy Twitter account. Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
It's so stupid.
Yeah, so they have this one guy, Tim Silman. He's one person who lost money. He lost about $300 to $400 that was drained from his wallet after he visited this fake Discord server. At least a dozen other people on Twitter were voicing the same complaints. He definitely he did not lose the most amount of money. There were people that lost more than him. I thought it was interesting that the project, the CryptoBats project, they shifted the blame over to Discord for this. So there's a statement from them. They were like, although we feel very sorry for the people that have fallen prey to these scams, we cannot take responsibility for the actions of scammers exploiting Discord, a platform that we have absolutely no control over.
It's not
true
though,
because you are still linking to an outdated Discord server on your official Twitter account, and
a Discord server that you actually make the URL for.
Like you switched it up on people and you didn't delete the old one, so now anybody could, do whatever they want with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have hoped that Discord would have like a cooldown time, like a cooldown period with like addresses, right? Where it's like if this one has been used and somebody discards it, then they have to wait like 6 months or something before somebody else can pick it up. But like that seems like an easy way on Discord side to fix it. But I think shifting the blame to them exclusively is pretty lousy.
Yes. And this is why Discord should not get involved with NFTs in any fucking stretch. They should not get involved with crypto in any stretch. That's why people fucking revolted whenever their CEO tweeted out a dev build with a wallet baked in. This is exactly why. This is exactly why. If they did this, the fish would be even faster, because if somebody had your Discord account, they would immediately have your wallet. They wouldn't even need to go that far. Like, it would just be instant.
Yeah, so if you're looking to invest in CryptoBats, make sure you visit the proper link at discord.gg/CryptoBats. Although I would not recommend...
Oh, God. No. Yes, we got one more. This is pretty similar. I saw this morning. So there is an NFT being sold on OpenSea, which is the biggest NFT marketplace, that will just straight up take your IP address, and that is its function. So this comes to us from good old Vice. So this is so NFTs can also, aside from usually just being a fucking JPEG, can also just be a piece of code. And so this seller on OpenSea is just using a code, a scraper that loads HTML that just reflects back somebody's IP address. And so they have one, which is an image that is a Simpsons and South Park crossover it collects the viewer's IP addresses and stores it in a panel for the NFT creator. They can just view it. They can just view all the IP addresses. And this isn't even the owner of the NFT. This is anybody that views the NFT. So anybody that views the description, the listing for the NFT, is just having their IP address scraped for this seller to have. And the description even says, I just right-click and saved your IP address. And then there's another one that displays the viewer's IP address back at them. And Motherboard verified this by loading the item's OpenSea listing, and it correctly displayed the IP address of a VPN used by Motherboard. And it said the NFT also says that they logged 85 total visitors at the time of writing.
So have these been taken down, or are these still like up there?
They are still up.
This is just like cool to do, apparently. Oh, cool. Nice.
The issue is that OpenSea lets NFT sellers add an quote animation underscore URL to the NFT's metadata. That animation URL supports HTML files. The HTML file in this data grabbing NFT includes a commonly used IP harvesting bit of code from a site called iplogger.org.
So as I was saying before, I've never felt better about just watching safely from a distance.
Yeah.
It's like you give me money and I will steal your information.
And they go on to say that there's a vulnerability in the very popular wallet MetaMask, and it's popular because it is just a browser extension, and it has support for different currencies, mostly Ethereum-based currencies. So a lot of people use it just because it's in their fucking browser. So somebody could mint an NFT and just send it to somebody and just take their IP address. And this is actually talked about in that video I mentioned. So if somebody has your wallet address, there is nothing you can do to stop them from sending shit to your address at all, really, because that's just the nature of the blockchain and wallets.
So they can send you something, but will it affect you? Like, can it harm you if you don't, like, I don't know, interact with it?
So for an example, they can send you an NFT of child pornography. And so then if you open up your wallet on your computer now has child pornography on it. You didn't request it. You didn't know about it. You didn't do anything with it other than open up your wallet not knowing that you had incoming child pornography on it.
Unreal.
Or in the case of this, they could send you a bit of code that could be malicious.
It's like disguised as something else, right? You're saying there's like a Simpsons.
It could be disguised as it could be disguised as a fucking Bart Simpson GIF, and it could be scraping your IP address or something worse in the background. So the creator of this specific IP NFT, he said that he didn't consider OpenSea allowing this sort of activity to be a vulnerability in OpenSea, so he didn't contact the company to disclose the issue. Just thinks it's fine. I'm sure he does because he's just taking people's IP addresses. So yeah. Use VPNs.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially if you're involved in this fucking garbage. So yeah, that is no fucking thanks for this.
It seems like they just keep getting worse and worse.
It really does. I don't know what to say. Like I said before, it feels like that we're reaching like some sort of tipping point with them. You know, like now they're injecting code into them. They're getting stupider. They're on Jimmy Fallon. Like they're getting stupider and more malicious at the same time. Like, yeah, it's bad. I have literally no idea what next week is going to be like. I don't.
It's crazy.
So yeah, we have another TikTok thing instead.
We do because nobody has told me to stop doing these yet. So
that's true.
I figured I just keep bringing them out. This is not going to involve West Elm Caleb because that would be like an episode on its own, and I don't think I'm equipped to really even discuss that. But that's a whole thing.
Thank God.
So so we just have a.
But here's the thing though. Now that you mentioned it, I'll tag the episode.
Oh, under West Elm Caleb
to get the track.
Why not? Yes. Why not? I mean, it is wild though that it's It is and it isn't, because like, it's really not that surprising. But like somebody mentioned that like this dude, West Elm Caleb, has turned New York City into like a small town, like gossip network, like the equivalent of like word gets around your small town about somebody, but this is New York City. And now essentially the entire world. But yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. I'm not going to get into it.
Anyway, yeah, we can't.
Instead, we're just going to do our usual dating is dead stuff with some kind of unusual stories from the dating world that I came across on TikTok here. So let's start with the first one. This is at Saditude over on TikTok, has a dating story.
I went on a first date last night. I am recently single, so I'm like, in the dating game, seeing what's out there. I asked this guy if he had gotten into any new hobbies during the pandemic or anything like that, and he told me that he had purchased a lock-picking kit off of Facebook. And I said, oh, that's an interesting thing to tell someone that you have just met. And he said, yeah, haha, I'm not sure why I chose to tell you this information. And I said, yeah. So what made you decide to purchase this lockpicking kit? Because that's really what I'm interested in. And he said, I've always wanted to be Jason Bourne. I said, all right, fair. And then I asked, you don't have any like duct tape and rope in your car or anything, LOL. And he was like, well, I don't have duct tape, but I do have rope. All right. And I asked if it was like the fun kind of rope or like the, tie me up and kidnap me kind of rope. And he said he had both. In your car? Okay. And he explained that, he was at IKEA and, at the checkout line, they had like some rope on sale. And he's like, I just figured I might as well have some in my car in case anyone ever needed to pull me out of a ditch. And I thought, yeah, or in case you need to tie me up and kidnap me and throw me into a ditch. So anyway, needless to say, there will be a second date. And just if anyone's wondering, I would like Get Busy by Sean Paul played at my funeral.
I did consider getting into lockpicking.
Did you? Was this like back in your big like Fallout phase?
No, this was pandemic.
Oh, this is more recent.
Yeah.
But you didn't follow through with that hobby?
No, it seemed like a bit much, and I don't think I have the like specific tiny little dexterity for it.
Would you have mentioned, like, let's say you did get into it, would you have mentioned it on a first date? Okay.
No. Unless the person I was with was like, hey, I'm into lockpicking, and I was like, oh, hey, I just got into it too. That would be the only circumstance under which.
Yeah.
But have you ever been recommended the like lockpicking videos? There's like
what,
this one
like
big
YouTube?
Channel. He gets like millions of videos or millions of views.
No, I can't say I have. That's never popped up on the algorithm.
This dude, he like people will just send him locks. He's like, oh, I bet you can't crack this one, and he like does it in like 2 seconds.
The only one that comes to mind for me is that Nathan For You episode where he tries to escape before exposing himself to small children.
Yeah. I don't know. It seems like a skill, like, actually the real thing was that I was looking. So, whenever I was a teenager, I had, it wasn't like a bike lock. It was like a regular kind of like locker lock. But it was like button presses. And whenever I didn't need it anymore, for some reason, I just like haphazardly put it over my doorknob and locked it. And then it was stuck there. Even though I put in the right combination, it would just never come off. And so it was there for years, like literal years. It was there until last year, until I decided to actually cut it off. So I think I did like a search for like, hey, is there a way I can just like, without like destroying the doorknob, get that off?
So wait, what did you end up doing? You just had to cut
bolt
it?
cutters.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, that's
I know it's not, but like that's what I think got me the recommendations, and I was like, oh,
okay.
that'd be an interesting skill to have. Lose your keys,
So what do you think of the story here? Like, do you think this is like a reasonable thing to admit to somebody? Like, the only scenario, like if this person's name was Bronco Henry, then I would understand. the whole rope situation, but I really don't. Yeah. Aside from that,
I think the lock picking is the most normal aspect.
Yeah, it really is.
The ditch story is quite a stretch. I think lock picking is like such a dude thing to be like, you know. At least I think so. It's like, yeah, you know, I want to see if I could do some lock picking or something.
Well, you related to the story, I can tell.
I think that's the most normal aspect of it. The whole, oh yeah, if I fell in a ditch and somebody needed to get me, it's good to have a rope in my car. That's suspicious.
Yeah, and then the IKEA thing too. Like, you know how the stores have like the row of things like impulse buys at the checkout when you're just standing there waiting? The fact that there would just be like rope.
Yeah, there's like candy bars and some mints, a bottle of water, and then like
sturdy rope,
repelling rope. Yeah.
But hey, you got a second date out of it, so
you know,
who am I to say?
Yeah.
So I have another one here. This is a story from a date that humbled a person. This is at Pickle Lover 2019 over on the TikTok.
That we have been humbled. I was ultimately humbled this week. I went on a date with a guy and like it went fine. I didn't really have any discernible opinion of him. It was just an average date. Whatever. But when he drops me back off, before I get out of the car, he looks at me and he goes, Emma, can I be honest with you real quick? I said, sure. Didn't know where I was going, but it was a first date, so I did not really care what he was about to say. He looks me dead in the eye. He goes, I just want you to know you are a very beautiful girl and you are very well spoken. That being said, you are incredibly strange. You are one of the weirdest people I've ever met. And I know that is going to work for someone, but I don't see it working for me. And I said, you know what? I respect that. Thank you for telling me. Have a good night. So, at least I'm hot and weird. That's the vibe for the rest of the year. Just being hot, but so goddamn weird.
I mean, hey.
Now, if I'm being completely honest, I followed this person after I saw this video.
I mean, isn't this how we're like kind of supposed to proceed? You know?
I
don't know. Maybe a little too blunt, but like, hey, this isn't, you know, didn't connect here.
Well, so I don't know, because this reminded me of something from a while back. Actually, it was just like freshman year of college for me. Early on in freshman year too. So I was like meeting people outside of, you know, the hometown for the first time. Yeah. And so I was hanging out with this girl a couple times, and at one point she said, and this obviously stuck with me because I remember it. She said that I was the most awkward person she's ever met in her life.
That's kind of. See, so she didn't couch it in any sort of compliment.
This was a really like, you know? This is like the most throwaway comment, I think, for her. This is like such a passive thing, like didn't even really think about it. Just like a random remark. But that was the end of my social life at college.
Yeah.
No, but like, I don't know. I feel like there's a better way to go about that.
Yeah, but like at the same time, like clearly he got the vibe that she wouldn't take that as like, oh, you think I'm weird? Like, oh, how dare.
True.
You know?
Yeah, it's like she views it as like a good thing, which I mean she should. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It sounds like this person was pretty awkward, right?
Yeah.
The dude.
Mm-hmm.
So. I don't know, you know, like, but like I feel like that is at least like the right way to, like, maybe not to be that blunt, but like the leaning towards the right way to approach, you know, maybe expressing the sentiment of like hey, this didn't, it should have been expressed more eloquently, right? Mm-hmm. Should be like, hey, you know, I don't think we had a connection, like, you know, but you're a nice person, you know, so, you know. It should have been phrased much better.
I guess you know what my thing is, and I think you're right that he sort of caught the vibe, or like he figured that honesty was the best approach here. But like for me, it's like you never know what a remark, the effect it could have on somebody.
Yeah.
So that's just my thing with this. But I also thought this was funny. Like it's just a funny story ultimately. Especially coming from someone who clearly doesn't give a shit.
Right.
You know, so anyway, that was Dating Instead this week. That's all I had.
I think everybody should learn lockpicking. That, you know, that way it won't seem weird to anybody else. How about that?
Okay. So should we all just like put rope in our back in our trunks as well?
Maybe.
Could come in handy. You never know.
Even the playing field, you know?
Mm-hmm. But you didn't even.
I did not. I thought about it. I did not. Well, see, because my hands shake, so I honestly don't think I'll be very good at it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Do we want to talk about Astroworld 2?
Oh, yes. We had this sitting and cooking since last week here.
Yeah.
A lot going on. I'm just going to step away for a quick second. Sure. I think we might have like a Peloton ad to play. No?
No.
They didn't sponsor us.
No, they didn't. They're in trouble anyway.
Yeah, I feel like if there was ever a time to try and become like a Peloton influencer, now's the time.
Now when the company's failing.
Yeah, because all we would have to do is like convince the marketing department there that we have no intention of like,
selling the product.
Dying while using it, or at least at the very least filming ourselves dying while using it. So I feel like we could be pretty good, brand ambassadors.
Yeah. Well, aren't they not selling the bikes anymore?
Oh, so that would put a bit of a...
They stopped manufacturing the bikes.
That would make it...
Yeah, they're just selling like the fitness subscription, like the video programs.
Okay.
I think. Yeah. Which
also,
is good
I think these scripted TV shows need to come up with better plot points or something or whatever.
I knew there was the Sex and the City one, and I saw there was another one where somebody died, but I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, it's this other show, and then I think somehow that show was referencing Sex and the City, so it wasn't like a coincidence. That soon? Yeah, I was surprised by the turnaround. Yeah. It's very strange.
Anyway, nostalgia is a powerful drug, and when you get emo kids into the mix, some weird shit happens. So everybody has heard about the When We Were Young festival, where they have this insane lineup of a bunch of emo and really post-hardcore bands from the 2000s, all in one festival. And so...
Yeah, when you say all, you mean all of them.
All of them. So we got My Chemical Romance, Paramore, AFI, The Used, Alkaline Trio. I don't know why they get lumped in with this kind of thing.
The one that really stood out to me as not fitting is Wolf Alice. That's like, they're just like a modern rock band. Like, they're just like a modern band. They're contemporary. Like, I listen to them now. Like, they're the only band I listen to currently.
Also, car seat headrest is also there.
Yeah, that doesn't quite fit either.
Okay. The Used, Bring Me the Horizon, Taking Back Sunday, Dashboard Confessional, Manchester Orchestra, Pierce the Veil, A Day to Remember, Dance Gavin Dance, Avril Lavigne, Mayday Parade, Census Fail, Bayside, Silverstein, Bright Eyes, Atreyu, Seosin, Jimmy Eat World, Armor for Sleep, Thursday, Anne Boleyn, The Starting Line, The Wonder Years, Christ, Hawthorne Heights, the font's getting smaller. And the Linda Lindas, who are the like middle school kids that played that thing at the library that everybody went crazy for like last year. I don't know if you remember that thing.
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Were they even born when the rest of these bands were around?
I don't think so, because my brother was born in 2003. Yeah. And he's 18. So
that's funny.
You could do the math there. So yeah.
I'm out because there's no Chiodos.
Yeah, that's true. So originally, and still to a degree, this show makes no fucking sense for a number of reasons. The biggest being is that it's one day. Okay.
Well, it was.
It was one day with all of these acts, and they have said that it's 3 stages for all these acts. It's something like 75 acts on 3 stages.
Yeah, they all get one song.
That's what the math kind of makes it seem like, is that they all get one song.
They all get one song and they all use the same equipment.
Meanwhile, like, most of these bands would be a headliner at pretty much any Warped Tour or Riot Fest.
Yes.
And the thing with those shows is that those are also like day one. Riot Fest is several days with multiple headliners, but they have so many goddamn stages at those shows. Because I've been to Warped Tours. I've been to them.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to festivals. I've been to Bamboozle. I've been to Skate and Surf. I've been to these festivals. There are so many stages. That's how it works. And then they split the stages in half. So one band plays on one stage and they set up on the other half. That's how you make it work. This does not make sense. It just doesn't.
No.
This is only going to lead, if this goes off without a hitch, this is only going to lead to disappointment. It doesn't make sense. So immediately people were skeptical. They also did some scuzzy shit where they said originally that tickets, quote unquote, start at $20, which is not really the case. Tickets start at a $20 down payment. Tickets start at $250.
Okay, yeah, that's more like it.
And so the people that are putting on this festival are, of course, Live Nation, who do lots of ticketing promotions for many different shows around the country at lots of different venues. But of course, they caught a tremendous amount of deserved heat for the Astroworld disaster that happened just over the summer, where I don't even know what was the final death toll at that thing.
I want to say it was in the double digits.
I think it was like a dozen people.
Yeah.
I think it was like around 12. Mm-hmm. Something around there. People died because they did not adequately staff it properly. It was not physically organized properly. We talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a shit show, literally. So with this thing, there was quickly word that it might have been rumors, it might have not been, that some bands didn't even know that they were on the bill whenever it was announced. And it's not quite clear how true that was. Some of the bands are defending the event. So Anthony Ranieri from Bayside, who is on the bill, a very good dude. I've met him. Bayside, I've seen them.
Met him?
I've met him.
Where?
At a show.
You had like a conversation? Little one? Yeah.
Little one, yeah. Yeah, I've met him. I've also like held the door open for him. Like, yeah.
Oh, didn't we? Wasn't that in a show that we went to locally? There was like, we happened to be, was that the Lawrence Arms where one of the band members happened to be walking out while we were walking in?
That was a separate occasion where I held the door open for a band
member. So it's happened twice then.
Yeah. But no, I've seen Bayside like around 10 times. It might be over 10. I've seen them so many times. They always put on like a tremendously, they're professionals, right? They never put on like even an off performance. They are always consistent. And he's a very nice guy. Very gracious. I have.
Sorry.
So but I'm just saying, like, so he said, like, he tweeted out, like, why is everyone acting like the largest promoter in the world and like 60 veteran bands are just winging this? Is this what scientists have felt like for the last 2 years?
Oh, that's an interesting take.
Yeah. So he caught a little heat for that. There's a viral post saying the bands didn't know, like, that might not have been true. And he said that he's worked with Live Nation for 20 years and done 1,500 shows with them. You think I'm just some rando defending Elon Musk? So, like, he clearly has a perspective. He obviously has a history. You know, he's been touring for 20 years. But I think there is room for healthy skepticism. He also tweeted, "What's so exciting about the When We Were Young Fest is that it's this massive show that everyone's talking about, and it's ours. Almost all the bands on there have slugged it out in vans, started in DIY and hall shows, sleeping on floors, living on the dollar menu, selling CDs outside Warped. Even the promoters that are leading it within Live Nation started booking these same bands at small DIY venues. Most of the bands on this show don't get booked by other big festivals, don't get the big playlists or the big syncs. But we all have a lot of fans. A lot of money didn't lead to this one. A lot of hard work and shitty nights and shitty drives did." At the same time, there are bands like La Dispute who are also on the bill. Okay. They tweeted out, "With the usual caveats about health, safety, and the unpredictable nature of our world, we're going on tour later this year, in large part to celebrate the belated 10-year anniversary of Wildlife, which is their second album. In the process, we're hitting some festivals, including this one, and they post the poster. And then they said, can't speak to the details, but Wildlife is a long record, and we aren't a 70-minute slot-sized band on festival lineups. And they say that we'll be doing a tour to, play the whole album later. So it's clear they know that, like, they are not playing
right
for very long on stage, especially because they're a band that is pretty far down this bill on a list of so many bands that could easily headline this thing. So it's like, since MCR and Paramore are at the top, like, are they getting a full set and everybody else is getting what, 2 songs? Like what are the logistics?
With everything they've announced in its current state, I can't see any other way.
Yeah, but then it's like, okay, Avril Lavigne is only getting 2 songs. Like it doesn't make sense. Bright Eyes is only gonna
so they've since added, because this sold out quickly. So they've added now 3 shows in total. Does that mean that, are they potentially splitting up the acts into these days, or is everybody there going to be playing each day?
No. So they have since added 2 dates. One is the following day. One is, I think, the next week. So it's the next weekend. They have said it's the same lineup, right? It technically isn't, because as far as I can see, like, for example, La Dispute is only on the first day, based off of me just scanning the posters. That's just one example. So it is not the same lineup. It's the majority the same, I think, but it is not the exact same lineup. So that already is not true. And of course, that's not reasonable, right? To expect that all these bands could stay around Las Vegas for a week to play that 3rd show. So, but if you're keeping the majority of the same bands and you're still doing this 75 band bill and you're still only playing 3 stages, the amount of stages is what's the problem,
That's what I was going to say. Like, 3 days seems like an almost reasonable amount of time to fit in all these bands.
That's what Riot Fest does. It's a whole weekend. It's a similar number of bands, if not more, honestly. And it's of a similar quality to what this is. Well, at least in terms of maybe more straight up like punk bands. But like with names that big. And of course, the bigger names get the bigger stages. The smaller names get smaller stages. Right. And you can't. The thing with those shows is, and it's the same with like Warped Tour and Skate and Surf was. You can't see everybody. There's going to be scheduling
you have to
conflicts.
hop around and pick and choose and plan things out.
You got to pick and choose. That's the way it works. You would get the schedule and you'd circle where you got to be. That was the way it worked. So this feels like they're going to try to please everybody. It's like, you could see every band. You could see all 75. It's like, okay, you get to see them for a song. And I think that's just going to lead, if that even works the way that they're planning it to, and if like they're as professional as Anthony Ranieri from Bayside is saying that they are, which, okay, he knows these people, he's a pro, Bayside has never put on a bad show that I've seen. If it's going off without a hitch the way that they're planning it to, I think people are just going to come away disappointed, especially for that high ticket price.
I still don't think it makes sense, because there's always downtime in between acts to switch out the gear. And so that is actually going to account for more time than the performances themselves.
So if it's 3 stages and they're doing the festival thing where they split the stages in half, that's the only way it makes sense.
So then you have, okay, I see. So there's always somebody playing on one side, and then on the other side, there's equipment being shifted and stuff. Okay, that makes sense.
Yes, that's the only way it makes sense. That's the only way you can do it. Otherwise, there will be just
I'm assuming
people sitting
this
around.
is outdoors, obviously. Yeah.
It has to be.
I didn't react well to this when I first saw it. Now I don't know if I'm like off base here, but like to me, this seems like, 'cause you know how there's like a lot of things like in pop culture that have sort of they put the focus on like, especially like 80s nostalgia, and you've seen a little bit of 90s nostalgia too. This feels like it's really the first major example of a company like preying on the nostalgia of kids who grew up in the 2000s like we did, and I don't like it. I don't like it. Like just the name, like when we were young, is very sad to me. Like not that we're old or anything, but like I don't know. I just don't, it just seems kind of sad to me. That it's like it's I guess advertised in this way.
If you want to feel sad, look up photos from MCR's like last live performance that they did a couple years ago.
Why is it bad?
If you want to I think they performed fine, but if you just want to feel old, because they're fucking old, you know, like Gerard Way is just like a comic book dad now, you know, like when he was like a fucking, you know, emo god, right? Like MCR was as close to the Beatles as I think any band has actually gotten, like truly, like in terms of like hysteria, so yeah, it just
feels
sad.
Like it feels almost like manipulative. Like it's like, oh, let's round up all these bands that you used to love and you can recreate your good old days. And I don't know, like there are plenty of bands on this bill that I'd love to just go and see if they're on tour, right? But there's no way in hell I would go to this.
Oh yeah, no way, no shot. I think I'm able to divorce it in a way, and I've been able to like do this since whenever we were even kids, because it's like more than half this bill is shit I don't like.
That's true.
And I never did. Like for every band that I love that's on here, there are like 5 that I
think for me,
stand.
I agree with that. I think for me, because like basically in those years, I was like always had Fuse channel on, that music channel that was like an alternative to MTV, and they would just play like music videos and like music shows like all day long. And it's like everybody on this bill was played on Fuse, so you might as well be named like the Fuse Festival, because this was just like everything that was on that channel is like on this bill, which is kind of wild. I don't know. Maybe if they named it something different, maybe if they weren't so like overt about the fact that this is like supposed to be like some nostalgic like reunion. Because like a lot of these bands, like it's almost insulting because like a lot of these bands are still like making music and touring, and they haven't really stopped.
Paramore is putting out the best material they've ever made. Like they barely play that old shit, right?
Yeah. Like After Laughter is arguably their best album. So
so. Taking Back Sunday is into like weird, I don't know, like banjo shit now. And they don't even, Taking Back Sunday does not put on a good show, and they haven't for 10 years. So that's one thing. I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah. I just hope it's like a safe environment.
That too. That's another concern, and it's a real concern.
It's like I understand Ranieri's point of view, because he is right about how it's cool to have the spotlight on these artists that usually don't get that sort of festival spotlight and have had to work hard doing like the whole DIY thing for so long. Yeah. But this particular festival, it just seems all thrown together. It's like, let's throw everything at the wall and hope all of it sticks, and not really give anyone their due time here, like the a proper amount of time, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what are you even supposed to make of this giant list of artists? Like, nobody's going to stand out in this. Nobody's really going to have a moment to like really, you know what I mean? Like, it's just
the only one that is MCR, and it's because they haven't. Their reunion tour got delayed a million times because of COVID. That's the only thing.
And a lot of people probably wouldn't have been able to go to that anyway because their ticket prices were outrageous.
Yeah. And like I don't blame a single band for being on this list. They haven't been able to tour.
Sure. Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
Like shit, of course they're going to jump on this. You kidding me?
It feels like from an organizer standpoint, this feels like let's make a bunch of money really quick, without putting a whole lot into it. Like I don't know. It feels sketchy.
I can't imagine paying that much for a festival. You know, like festival tickets are supposed to be cheap. Like that's the point. Like that price feels like it's subsidizing Live Nation and also these bigger artists. Like that's subsidizing MCR and Avril Lavigne's ticket. Like you know, their
like on the one hand, I don't think it's a reasonable price for a festival, but on the other hand, how are they going to pay all these artists? Like it's insane for one day for a 1 day show. Like I don't.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I don't know. It seems like a mess. So who else? Where is it? So Glassjaw, who is a like original like emo hardcore band that I saw their reunion show at Skate and Surf in 2013.
Yeah.
So at a festival. And I felt really old there because I was surrounded by a bunch of hardcore dudes that were like so into it. And then like a bunch of people.
You felt old at
just
20?
walked away like, yes, because a bunch of people like walked away from that set and were just kind of like the same energy. Like these kids don't even know what they saw. Like they just saw Glassjaw reunite. And I was like, yeah, man, yeah, that was so cool. So
what
anyway,
was the
they were like,
what was the reunion? The Skate and Surf we went to.
I think it was some kind of Anthony Green thing, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah,
He played with one of his other bands, and then Circa was there
right,
also.
yeah.
And he was being weird on stage because it was Anthony Green. Because they played before Trio, so we were there for the Circa set.
That's right, yeah.
But anyway, so Glassjaw's also going to be at this. I didn't see them on the one poster, so I don't know which day they're going to be there. So they said Las Vegas, see you in October. Feel free to participate. Hashtag Glassjaw, hashtag My Chemical Romance, hashtag AFI, hashtag Alkaline Trio, hashtag Taking Back Sunday, hashtag Bright Eyes, hashtag Jimmy Eat World, hashtag Dumpster Fire.
I'd love for a band to just not be on the bill, but like hang out in the parking lot and play a set.
Okay, it's really funny that you mentioned that. So there was a band from that era. I don't remember them at all. I Set My Friends on Fire.
I remember the name, but
okay,
yeah,
I don't. I remember.
Alex is on fire.
Alex is on fire, and then I remember there was another one. Boys Set Fire.
Yeah.
So I remember those two names. I don't remember these guys. But that just shows you what the era was like. So anyway, these dudes thought they were going to be on the bill. They were not. So they said, Live Nation, are you serious? They wrote following the festival's announcement. And this is from Consequence of Sound, by the way. See you in the parking lot, I guess. And then they said, whatever you guys are paying MCR, we'll do it for half. We are going to meme ourselves onto this one way or another. And then they tweeted, hey, Live Nation, guess who owns whenwewereyoungfest.com? So they bought out the domain whenwewereyoungfest.com.
Terrific.
And it redirects to their Facebook page.
Wow.
But the the actual real website for the fest is whenwewereyoungfestival.com. But I think it still might confuse some people because people have just been calling it When We Were Young Fest. So,
well, at least it won't be like a crypto bats situation.
That's true. It's not going
to like harm you if you go to the wrong one. You're just going to
steal your fucking.
You're just going to have to listen to I Set My Friends on Fire.
And Consequence of Sound says if you're feeling nostalgic, you could check out their cover of Soulja Boy's "Crank That." So.
Well, as we noted, I'm not feeling nostalgic, so I can pass on that.
I guess they're on that, like, whatever, Punk Goes Crunk or whatever, those albums. Which most of the bands on there were neither.
Remember they used to come out with those Warped Tour CDs where it was like 2 discs and it was like a track from every band that was on Warped Tour that year? They should do that they should do like, I guess the equivalent would be like a Spotify playlist for everybody that's on this.
Well, they could just do a live version because that's what people are going to hear is one song from every artist.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
What happens in Vegas?
I guess we'll see. They added 3 dates. Who knows what more? I guess that's it. You can't, if it's going to be like a 4-day festival, that seems excessive, you know?
They could just like start a residency.
Yeah, that's true.
You'll have like Adele, you'll have Katy Perry, and then you'll have the emo residency.
Just 100 tour buses.
Yeah. So, like, are they gonna, like, what do you think as far as artists go, like, the ones that are, especially the ones that are playing all 3 dates, right? They have to stay there for a week. Are the organizers paying for, like, their, like, hotel?
I have no idea. That's another thing. It's like, yeah, like, most of those bands are still touring bands, you know? Like, they can't afford to just, like, bum around in Vegas for a week. So.
Yeah, I feel like having to stay at a place for that long would really cut into what you're making off of the show itself.
Yeah. So. Like, I know for a fact, without even needing to confirm it, that is why La Dispute cannot do the other dates. Like, there's no way that bands can afford that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, We need to talk about a movie.
Oh, that's right. We do.
So this week we watched Tragedy of Macbeth. Some of us watched more than others.
Yeah. I've been doing this this series that we do weekly here, where we watch a film from 2021, and I decided to choose one that would be pretty tough for me to even watch or talk about, because it is pure Shakespeare. Undiluted Shakespeare. So this is Joel Cohen's first film that he's directing solo. Joel Cohen of the Cohen brothers. It's got an all-star cast. You couldn't ask for much better than a pair of stars in Denzel Washington and Frances McDormand. Like, that's just unreal. This is a retelling of the Tragedy of Macbeth. It's sort of like this hybrid of stage performance and cinema, which was fascinating. It's in black and white. It's in like that strange aspect ratio that I don't quite know which one it is, but it's like close to a square.
I think this one was pretty much 3:4, more so than Card Counter. Card Counter was just in something different.
Yeah,
but this was pretty much 3:4, I think.
So I know that you have a good amount of familiarity with Shakespeare, being an English graduate and all that. So what did you think of this?
I thought it was really good. It's very faithful. It's pretty much. I thought it was really funny how at the end, when the credits drop, it says written by Joel Cohen. Because it's like, okay, yeah, sure, man, yeah, okay, because it's just the play.
Sure, yeah.
You know, like it's actually
you could
funny
say it was
because,
visually written by Joel Cohen, if that makes sense, because that's where his contributions came in.
I think technically the credit says written for screen, which, you know, yes. I think it is funny though, but I don't know if you probably couldn't do this, but like, there are clear moments of script that were not the original Shakespeare, that were written to sort of like move the pacing along ever so slightly, and just like, or like conversations between different characters that were clearly not the Shakespearean original, and they felt so out of place to me that it was like, oh, did we stop doing, like, there's like a hard cut here, and it was like, nope, okay, we're back, okay.
Yeah, so that's not something I was able to pick up on. Like, what's like the earliest example of that?
I don't know, because it just happens in like just like brief little exchanges between characters almost. You can just feel like the lyrical nature, like this sort of that bouncy flow of iambic pentameter going between, where like if something feels less dramatic and less lyrical, less almost sing-song, it dropped the cadence. So I don't know what the earliest moment would have been. Maybe when like they first show up at the castle, and there was an exchange between Macbeth and the guard, I think might have dropped. So there's just like little things like that, just to like kind of set the pieces ever so slightly. Where they needed characters to talk to each other, but they didn't have any of that material, so they needed to write something, and you can just tell that it was not written in the same format. Like it just but other than that, it is so incredibly faithful to such a high degree. But the way that they interpret aspects like the witches.
I was going to say the
God,
witches were a real standout.
That was fucking incredible. Holy shit. The way that they're 3 in 1, and like the way that they use Hecate, and like, oh God, that blew me away. The way they interpret the third killer into, I don't know what role he was playing throughout, like the shifty guy basically, who was sort of like kind of guiding the strings along, like behind the scenes, right? That guy, because he was playing every side, right? He plays the role of the third killer, which is sort of this ambiguous role in the original text, and in different interpretations of the play. Some people interpret it as whenever Macbeth sends the two people to kill, oh God, what's the fuck his name? Jesus Christ. I'm so bad with names. Whenever Macbeth sends to kill what's his face and his son, he sends the two guys. He sends for a third killer to make sure that they do it. In some interpretations, they believe that Macbeth just goes himself to make sure that it's done because he's that paranoid. In other interpretations, they believe it's just like this like stranger of destiny that is just making sure that things happen as they happen. And so that's similar to the interpretation that's going on here. I think it worked tremendously well, the way that he's just like this shadow that is moving through, playing all the sides, and is making sure that things happen as the prophecy demands that they happen. Was really, really cool.
It was a really cool, like, presence.
Banquo. That's just the fucker's name, Banquo.
Yeah,
Jesus
it was
Christ.
a really, really cool presence on screen from the character, you know? Like, just the whole physical performance of it and everything.
Yeah, the way he's just like eerie and you can't get a read on him. With like he had like these big eyes, like just just really, really great performance. And of course Frances McDormand is, you know, incredible in everything, and she's great here. And so yeah, it's like when you know the play, you're waiting for like the soliloquies and like how they're going to interpret specific moments, like how is the out damn spot soliloquy going to go? How are they going to interpret their madness? So like the other thing that makes me feel like that shifty character is this interpretation of destiny was the fact that it's sort of left up to, well, did Lady Macbeth kill herself, or did this character now push her off the stairs? So because like in the play, in the text, it is usually pretty obvious that she killed herself, but the method is never completely clear. Some say she took something to her throat or whatever, but it's usually just interpreted that she killed herself because she went crazy, and the fact that there are like armies closing in and all this shit. But the fact that they show that scene where, you know, he's like sort of stalking up the stairs as she's like just kind of losing it. Now there's like this vagueness to it where, you know, now did she jump off the stairs or was she deliberately pushed?
Right, yeah.
Which adds this different layer to it. I think there were some issues with pacing, and it has been a very long time since I read the text or had seen a different interpretation. And I'm talking like, I don't know, when did I take that class in college? Christ, I can't remember. Maybe sophomore year of college. It was the last time I read it. But like after Lady Macbeth's death, he immediately jumps into the soliloquy like so quickly. Like he doesn't even like see the body. Like that kind of felt a little rushed. Even though he delivers the soliloquy so well. Like that's like such a famous, you know, like phrase. Like those are like that soliloquy like has so many phrases that we use now in everyday language. Like, you know, man is but a player that struts on stage. Like all like that whole thing is just so well known in like it's shaped language itself. Like the like phrases that we use and like metaphor that we use today. So it was delivered so well, but like just the fact that it like we didn't have room to breathe there. Like that dude's like, oh, your wife's dead. And he's like, oh, now I must go into this. Now I have to talk about the state of man on the, you know, like.
I mean, I just sort of took that as I just kind of took that in stride because it's like the sort of elevated nature of everything, you know? No.
Yeah. These are like the tiniest nitpicks.
Yeah.
The tiniest little. But yeah, I loved the backdrops and the scenery they used. Because, like you said, it's this hybridization of play and film, where it feels like stage, but at the same time, they also felt to me like they are playing with the nature of like what the word play means. And what I mean by that is everything had this almost like playhouse quality, where they felt like the characters felt like toys that were in like almost like a dollhouse or like in a play set. And they were just kind of being moved to the whims of, call it destiny or call it the script, call it Shakespeare's words, whatever you want to call it. But they were just being moved into position to say the words that they have to say. And like just these very sparse, like the castle itself felt like this very blank slated, like toy background to me. Like, I don't know. It felt, like something you would see in like a very strange, very old children's cartoon almost.
Yeah.
Like it had this very like playful quality. Like it was like that kind of interpretation of the word play. So it felt like they were doing something there that was like very off kilter, and I was really into it.
Yeah, that's a really interesting like way to observe it, because like for me that not being able to follow like Shakespeare's dialogue very well, I had never been able to. I relied on the visuals quite a bit, in this film, and that's what I appreciated the most from it. Like I don't think I've ever seen a movie that looks like this.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy to say, but it's true. Like, it's so visually distinct, and it really does feel purposeful in the way everything was set up. And it's not immersive in the way that cinema can usually be immersive. It's like purposely keeping you aware of like what the material is that it's covering, and the fact that these are actors on a stage. And like usually it's a bad thing when a movie isn't immersive in that way, but here it feels like purposeful, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's like something Twilight Zone about the whole thing, where like there was that one set where the shifty guy is kind of just sitting like kind of on the ground or like on a stone thing, and there's that weird arch like in this dilapidated, it's like a destroyed building in like this blasted hellhole, but the earth is like rounded, like as if they're like sitting on a, like the earth is like on this very small ball that they're just kind of on. Like the whole scene is like rounded over. And it's like you feel claustrophobic even though there's like this great expanse. Like you feel like you're in like a tiny little box, like on top of a ball. Like it just felt like you're in like this tiny little play set. And it gave me like these like weird Twilight Zone vibes. And there's like the other moment, like whenever at the very end where like the army's encroaching and he's like, oh yeah, the wood can't possibly be here. And then he opens the window and the leaves come rushing in, and the leaves had this very plasticine quality. They looked like they were plastic. They looked impossibly made. They didn't look real. And it would be so easy to just have some real looking leaves come rushing in, but they deliberately look plastic. They don't look right. And so there were just lots of moments like that. And like the scene where he consults the witches for the second time, and normally in interpretations he has to go and see them, and in this one they actually come to him in his room. And whenever bubble toil and trouble is normally interpreted as like a cauldron, right? Where they're making this potion in order to summon their master, Hecate or Hecate, and now it's the entire room is engulfed. The entire room is now underwater or under the concoction or whatever. And it looks unreal and unnatural. Like it doesn't look like water exactly. And he's able to pick it up and scoop it, and it's solid, right? He picks up a face. So they're just like these total unreal elements that they don't look real, but they don't take you out of the moment at all. I think the way that it works is that since this is a story that is so classic and so well known that you can't help but know that these are actors performing these very old words. So like you can't possibly be taken out of it any more than no. It's like you can't think that this is a real person because you know that this is the character Macbeth. You know that he's playing the role Macbeth. So they have to do something else in order to keep you engaged in that world, and so they played with the visuals like to such a degree. But
that's such a good point, because like there were a lot of instances where it's like this is just cool watching Denzel and Francis do theater, because I've never seen them do that. So it's like, you do need to find a different way, and I think they were successful with that. Yeah, it's tough, because like I do wonder about this movie's like awards chances when it comes to like the Academy and stuff. Because like obviously there are huge names attached, like beloved names attached to this project, but I wonder how accessible it is for like the audience at large. I mean, I went on Letterboxd, and it's very highly regarded there. And I saw that like 72,000 people had had seen it since it came out a couple weeks ago. And then I scrolled down to like the top reviews for it, and like every other review was like, yeah, this movie is amazing. I just don't understand anything that's going on. Or not anything that's going on, but what's being said. Like from a dialogue standpoint.
Yeah, I mean,
because like Macbeth is Macbeth, me, like that, like you said, it's a classic story. It's well known. So, but like the moment to moment dialogue stuff is really what I struggle with.
Yeah, for me, hearing it is more about inferring those moments to moments. Like, you're not going to be able to pick up all of the puns and the wordplay and what exactly everything, like line by line, it means. For me, I have to read that in order to come to grips with everything that's being said, right? So knowing the basic story, I can follow that. Obviously, I know what's going to happen. But then also remembering specific moments, and I'm waiting for certain soliloquies and things like that. So I know to a degree what's going to be said. But also you can just kind of infer, like, based on the physical performance and sort of the way that they're saying specific lines too, right? That is a important part of the interpretation. They can't just like say the lines in iambic pentameter and have it work. Like that isn't how it
That'll
goes.
Bring you right back to your high school English class and the reenactments that happen.
Yeah, you're right. That's exactly what I was going to say. Otherwise, you would just have a high school performance up there. So it needs to be emotive. It needs to be, like they need to be acting up there, right? Like they need to do it. So in that way, you can follow along and infer. Like whenever what's his name, Steven, the comic actor, I always forget his name. He's fantastic in everything he does. He's a character actor, like he's whenever he shows up and he's like basically making all these fucking sexual jokes. Like you can tell that this is meant to be like this moment of levity and a moment of joking, and he's like this crazy drunk dude screwing around whenever they're about to reveal that the king has been killed, so like those moments you could pick it up, even though if you don't get all the puns that he's getting, even though he's doing the knock knock, like he's basically telling knock knock jokes. Even though there's like this ominous bell being tolled, right? The king is dead, the bell is tolling, nobody knows what's happened yet, and there's this drunk dude telling knock knock jokes. Like you should be able to grasp that because he's saying knock knock, knock knock, like so even if you can't understand every word that's being said, because I definitely don't. You should be able to infer pretty much what's going on based on the way that they're delivering the lines, to a degree. Like, you're not going to pick up, like, whenever Lady Macbeth says, "Let me be unsexed," you're not going to understand in the moment what that means, that she's saying that she wants to strip away her gender so she can take away the gender role of being a woman and be as cold and calculating as a man in order to enact this treason. You're not going to get that in the moment, but whenever you can understand that she's calling forth, like, not literally foul spirits, that she is preparing herself in order to do something dark and evil, just by the way that she's acting and saying the lines and the physical actions of what her and her husband are going to do.
Which, by the way, that one example there, I mean, if that doesn't speak to how timeless Shakespeare is, because that, it's very appropriate for a lot of conversations that have happened around gender, especially in the past number of years.
No, completely. Yeah, no, it's exactly right. Like those are the kinds of lines that I'm waiting for. It's because those are the lines that stick in your head, So yeah, I didn't think I'd have this much to say about it, but I guess I do.
No, that's great. And I'm glad this movie exists. It's as, silly as that is to say, like, I'm just glad that they made something like this, and because I don't know if there is like not that this is the definitive version or anything, but I don't know if there is like a version of Macbeth that's seen as like the one, that if it, whether it's like a stage play or a translation or what, but this is a really cool.
It would probably,
yeah.
Before this would probably be the Branagh version, right? I don't remember even seeing that one though. But like Kenneth Branagh did like all the adaptations of Shakespeare for film. His Hamlet is fucking amazing.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe he didn't do Macbeth. That's interesting. Yeah. His Hamlet. Holy fuck.
Oh, interesting.
I fucking love his adaptation of Hamlet. My God. Yeah, that was in the 90s.
Is this, if I'm thinking of the same filmmaker, is he the one that just came out with Belfast? Or is that somebody else?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah, he's had a weird directorial career. Like he did the Thor movies.
Yeah, he did he did Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of his more recent stuff is a little hit or miss, but
yeah, his because he came from
the stage, yeah.
But yeah, his film version of Hamlet is remarkable. It is such a thoughtful and innovative adaptation of
4
Hamlet.
hours and 2 minutes.
The way he uses. Yeah, it's long. Well, because Macbeth is like one of the shorter Shakespeare plays, which is usually why they teach it pretty early in high school. So yeah, Hamlet's pretty long. But yeah, it's really good.
Now, is it the same sort of thing as here, where it's like the dialogue is not modernized in any sort of way? It's faithful.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. See, for me, I think my my Shakespeare has to be given to me in like a West Side Story.
yeah.
Unfortunately.
But I mean, even the like the Leonardo DiCaprio Romeo and Juliet, they used the Shakespearean.
Oh,
even though that was like a modern. Yeah.
Okay.
So to me, it's not an adaptation if you don't use the actual play.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Like it's like West Side Story is, to me, like it's like a retelling, right? And there's so many versions of Romeo and Juliet throughout every single kind of media. Like it's you can do that, but then you can't call it Romeo and Juliet, right? It's just a retelling of it. Because yeah, like it is, to me, it's timeless. Like it's.
Yeah, and this is a very, very cool version of it. Just cinematically, like what he's doing is fascinating. Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't know what I expected going in, but I did certainly receive a faithful Shakespeare adaptation. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say.
Now, do I have? Am I still allowed to continue on with the movie series after this?
Yeah, I had no problem watching.
No, that much is clear. That's good. I'm definitely glad.
Yeah, when you said that you were struggling, I was like, okay, how long is it? Like that was that was what I thought was going to be the barrier. Yeah. And then when I saw it was an hour 45, I was like, oh, this is I could do this.
No, the struggling, like it had nothing to do with the runtime for me. It was the style of it, and just like a little bit of frustration of not like grasping the moment to moment, and not being as familiar with like all the soliloquies and everything that goes into it. So yeah, but still, it's worthwhile for sure. Like it's a masterful director. It's a just astounding cast. It's like atmospherically and visually, it's really something. So yeah. Good stuff. So yeah, if we are going to continue on, I thought next week we could check out Maggie Gyllenhaal's directorial debut, which hit Netflix back in December, The Lost Daughter, with Olivia Colman and Jessie Buckley and Dakota Johnson. Yeah, I've been holding off on that one, thinking that we would have it for one of these episodes, but I've been really looking forward to it.
Sounds good.
Which it's on Netflix, by the way. I think I mentioned that, but yeah, so that one's nice. Very accessible, because this one was on Apple. Which I'm not sure how many people have Apple TV subscriptions, but
I think we should wrap up.
Yes,
because we are approaching the 2 hour mark.
Okay.
Have some other things we could save them for next week. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for listening. We really do appreciate it. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at DeadEndRoad. Check out the Facebook page, facebook.com/DeadEndRoadTV, because the podcast episodes go up there, and I can't see it. I still don't understand. I don't understand. Like, it has the RSS feed. The podcasts show up. People are engaging with them. I can't see them. I don't understand it. But hey, if you see it on Facebook, you want to check. Do you listen to it on Facebook? I don't know. Feel
free to tag Paul Schrader for our car counter episode.
Paul Schrader, you could tag Denzel. Yeah. You can do whatever you want to do. I just don't understand why I can't see it. It's weird. Check out the twitch.tv/DeadEndRoadTV. I'll be streaming some 14 raids. And then I have like a million Resident Evil games that I want to play. So I'll be doing that soon. YouTube search DeadEndRoad TV, and you can email us anything at all at video@deadendroad.co. And also, if you'd like to give us a rating on a podcast app, if your app has ratings, that would be handy. We'd appreciate that a whole lot.
Now, is it unethical for one of us to go ahead and rate on one of the platforms?
I don't think so, but now that you've mentioned it, now it sounds kind of sad. Now it sounds kind of sad.
I'm just asking the question. I haven't done it.
Yeah, I haven't either, but now if there's a review up there, now people are gonna be suspicious that one of us did it.
Oh no! Yeah.
Shit. Oh goddamn! Nobody wants to be the first one. That's the thing.
That's true.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know. There might be reviews up there. I honestly haven't looked. But yeah, that would help us out if anybody wants to just give a rating. You can give 1 star.
No, you totally could.
But yeah. All right, that's gonna do it for us. We will see you next week.